Back in 2009, a software engineer wrote a short story that changed my life. It obviously didn't change my life when it came out. I was 7. The Egg was released on August 17th, 2009 on Andy Weir's website, Galactinet. I wasn't exposed to it until much later, September 1st, 2019, a little over 10 years after its original publication. Kurzgesagt, I am so sorry, I don't know how to fucking pronounce this word, and I've looked at the fucking pronunciation 10 times. Hold on.
Kurzgesagt.
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 Kurzgesagt. Okay, let's try this again. I wasn't exposed to it until much later, September 1st, 2019, a little over 10 years after its original publication. Kurzgesagt adapted it into a wonderful animation. I was 18. This wasn't the last time Andy Weir would change my life. In case you haven't read it, go read it, but for content's sake, I'll give you a synopsis. You died. You meet God. And God explains to you that there is no heaven or hell, that you'll be reincarnated. You wonder if, since you'll be born as a blank slate, your life was meaningless. But God tells you you were wrong, that once you die next time, you'll be reincarnated as someone else. And this will go on until you've been everyone. So every time someone did something horrendous to someone, it was you hurting yourself. That you, your consciousness, is personhood, and you bestow it upon everyone, simply by being them. So nobody is ever devoid of personhood, everyone is equal. If only they knew. If only you knew, then there wouldn't be any more hate. As you're reincarnated again and again, you grow, until when you've been everyone, you're fully mature, and you can hatch. Because you and everyone are an egg. When I watched this, it completely changed everything for me. For what I think was the first time I truly understood empathy. To empathize is to put yourself in someone else's shoes, which is different from sympathy, which is to only acknowledge that they have shoes. If only everyone saw this video, if only everyone read this and saw everyone else as a piece of themselves. But then I went on with my day, and I probably said something ignorant or mean to someone just because I fucking could. I don't think this is the fault of the story, or Andy Weir, or Kurzgesagt. Fuck. It's just how people are wired. Our bubble of self, obviously, ends at the top layer of our skin. At largest, it may extend to our family, or maybe even our community. But a bubble that grows large must also grow thin, and thus is prone to popping. So we keep our groups small. I just wish we would realize that if there was no one outside the bubble, who's gonna pop it? Andy would go on to write 3 novels. The first 2, The Martian and Artemis, I haven't read. I've seen The Martian's movie adaptation a few times. Artemis, I've heard, isn't very good. But then we come to the topic of today's video, Andy's 3rd novel, Project Hail Mary. I read this in 2022 via audiobook. Ray Porter, my beloved. Anywho, it follows middle school science teacher Ryland Grace as he accidentally stumbles into becoming the savior of the human race. Obviously, if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, do both. Book, then movie. The movie is a very faithful adaptation, but it's still a movie with time and medium constraints. The book's better, since books are always better. My mom used to talk about Cujo and how in the book you could hear Cujo's thoughts and the rabies-riddled brain kind of like... Look familiar? Yeah, that's me, rambling about some old Stephen King movie. I do that sometimes, because of my ADHD. On top of that, I'm visually impaired, hence the shades. Sometimes not being able to go out into the world and drive can feel lonely. Lots of people with disabilities face their own struggles, physically, emotionally, socially. If only there were a place dedicated to disabled people and their allies. Wait, there is? It's called The Circus, and it's a growing Discord community that prides itself on inclusivity, understanding, and empathy. You don't even have to be disabled to join, just don't be a dick. Join at the link in the description. I was way too young to watch that movie. Oh, what time is it? It's been 3 hours. That tracks. So any hoodly doodly, Grace has to go to space to save humanity, but while there, he meets an alien named Rocky.
Hi, Grace.
Well, actually, his name is a series of musical chords, but Grace calls him Rocky. The premise of the story isn't really all that important to this video. What I want to focus on is what Ryland's narration in the book says about his view of Rocky and the rest of his species. When he refers to Rocky and the Iridians, he calls them people. Rocky's people, the people of Arid, etc. To Grace, Rocky is a person. He obviously isn't human, but he's a person. Like, person is a classification we bestow on someone when they're intelligent and worthy of our empathy. This reminds me a lot of the egg. I wonder if there's another egg being incubated somewhere else in the ethereal void where it's all the Iridians being reincarnated. I wonder if one egg recognizes another. And I don't mean this just as a fun fan theory connecting Andy Weir's works. I'm thinking of this as an analogy to human empathy. Does empathy mean we see a little bit of that egg in each other? Can we imagine being them because of that? Maybe we could all come together after all. But the problem is that that's not how any of this works. This is fiction. Astrophage isn't real, the Petrova line isn't real, the egg isn't real. I wish it was. I wish it would be so easy to fix the world. I wish it could be so easy to love each other for no reason other than that we're all humans. That we're all people. When I originally made this video, I made it off the cuff. No script, just a thought in my head and a pain in my heart. And in turn, it just turned out to be a deeply political video. I talked about ICE, the racism and bigotry, but I don't want to do that this time. Not only because I'm a floating head with sunglasses, but also because I don't think throwing a hissy fit on the internet will change anything. I'm just spewing negativity out into the void just to get it off my chest. I'd much rather evaluate what's so special about Rocky's personhood and how it compares to how people really feel empathy and bestow personhood. Is it just that Grace is an astoundingly good, empathetic person? Maybe the point of the story is that he's not. He's a coward. He was willing to let so many people get hurt just to preserve himself. He was willing to let the mission be in jeopardy all because he was scared. He needed to be forced to. He needed to be drugged, have his memory wiped, and be forced into space. But the other perspective is that that was wrong. This was a violation of his autonomy. He was violated in a way similar, sort of, to how half of the population is unfortunately very familiar with. Even if something good came of it, how can that be ignored? In an earlier version of this script, I was going to say that personhood is determined not only by others feeling empathy for you, but also if you feel empathy for others. I would be arguing that the people I disagree with aren't people. Which, by the way, is wrong. There has to be more to being a person. It can't just be feelings. It can't just be vibes based. I could talk to my cat and see her ears move in a way that makes me think she understands me and decide she's a person. But I could also talk to a human and not get the social cues I expect from a person and decide they aren't one. Is it about an internal experience? We're fairly sure that lots of animals have internal experiences. You'd need to in order to make decisions. The earliest forms of life interacted with their environment. Plants face the sun, animals seek out food. Single-celled organisms seek out areas of higher energy concentration. Is everything a person? Oh my god, we're getting to panpsychism. I don't want to do this. I don't have an answer. Go find someone smarter to give you an answer. Rocky's a person because he's cool and fists his bump and loves Grace despite his flaws. Wait. But what if somehow Grace escaped? What if he didn't go? Who would have gone in his place? In the book, it was some distillery worker from Paraguay. If she had gone, would she have been as friendly toward Rocky? Would they have gotten along as well as Grace had? Would she have intellectually identified Rocky as a person? What determines if she would or not? The beauty of the story is how perfectly everything turned out. Grace was the perfect person to go on the Hail Mary. The previous science experts who died in an explosion might not have been the perfect person, but why? These people were in their 30s at least. They'd already lived lives up to this point. They had experiences, loves, losses, hopes, and dreams. But at the end of the day, or rather the beginning, they were born as individuals. If Grace were born in Russia in place of Olesya Ilyukina, I am so sorry, the material specialist, would Grace have later been the material specialist for the Hail Mary? I don't think so. If Adrian, Rocky's mate, were on the Blip 1 instead of Rocky, would they have gotten along as well as Grace? We can't know because it's random. People are random. We do this and that because we choose to, but why do we choose to? The neurons firing in our brains, all the synapses connecting them, all the variables, they cannot be tracked, they cannot be predetermined. We are random. People are random. If Andy Weir were right, and we're all just pieces of an incubating egg, and each and every one of us is a universe unto ourselves, imagine the possibilities if one day we get over ourselves and allowed ourselves to hatch. But that's just a theory. A film theory. Sorry. Thanks for watching.